Hey guys, Skull here, and we're going to look at the Demon Hunter talents, the artifact traits, and the stat priority from our raiding tank point of view. So let's jump straight into the talents, guys. The first line, you are going to want to go for Agonizing Flames. It is the highest DPS increase, and it also gives you a nice little movement speed increase as well, which is always great. The second line, we are going to jump into Burning Alive. When it comes to single target, Burning Alive is probably the best. And obviously when you're fighting bosses, most of the time it is single target, guys. The Fiery Brand deals damage every 2 seconds, 50% of attack power, and this actually works very well with one of the artifact talents, where you heal yourself for 15% of the fire damage done. So that's in relation to that, guys. The other options on this line, this option here, Fallout, this is basically a talent that's better for AoE, so for dungeons is a good talent. And the Soul Cleave healing you for an additional small percentage over 6 seconds is not really make or break for raiding when the bosses are hitting so hard. So the easy choice here from a DPS point of view, and also to get some healing back, is Burning Alive. If we go on to the third line here, guys, the Fell Blade is the choice. There is some argument for Fell Eruption if you need to get like a stun, but for raiding, guys, Fell Blade is the easy choice, especially because Flame Crash again creates a signal of flame. That's strong for dungeons in particular, but when it comes to raiding, guys, Fell Blade is the easy pick. This line, we have arguments for both Fracture and Soul Rending. So basically, this comes down to how much of the time are you going to be tanking the boss versus the off tank. Soul Rending is the better pick if you're going to be tanking the boss a lot. You gain the 50% leech while Metamorphosis is active. This again relates to the artifact traits that Demon Hunters have, where you sometimes turn into where you sometimes activate your Metamorphosis form. So that will give you that 50% leech while you're in that form, which is great. Fracture, on the other hand, if you find yourself off tanking a lot on certain bosses in the Emerald Nightmare, then Fracture is a great talent for off tanking, because you can basically shatter a bunch of fragments from the boss, and so then when it's your turn to actually tank, you have a lot of soul fragments around that you can obviously instantly use when you need to heal yourself. So this one is situational, guys, but we're going to take Soul Rending as a default pick. This next talent line, we have an option for the Sigils. This is actually the Mass Grip. They made this a talent. It wasn't originally a talent when I used to play Demon Hunter, but it's now a talent now. Its use inside Emerald Nightmare is very limited. There's nothing really super interesting on this line in general. So Consecrated Sigils will be our pick. Basically, it stops you from having to target the sigil. It just drops at your feet. If you do find any encounter where you actually want to place the sigils, then Quicken Sigil would be your talent choice instead. But we're going to go with Concentrated Sigils on this line for standard. This next line, we have Fell Devastation, Blade Turning, or Spirit Bomb. Again, the Spirit Bomb, it heals for 10% of all damage you deal to enemies with Ferality. This is what the Spirit Bomb puts on the target. This small amount of trickle healing is not something that is going to be needed for the Demon Hunter inside the raid when the boss is, when he's fighting it, when they're tanking it like a large damage dealing boss. Fell Devastation, on the other hand, this is a much better pick. It does decent damage, but it also instantly heals you. So this is an instant heal versus a slow trickle heal. And the Demon Hunter playstyle in raids, when you're tanking, it's really about healing yourself back up fast. So Fell Devastation is the best choice on this line. And finally, we are on the last line here, guys. Soul Barrier is an interesting talent. I've played around with it a little bit in dungeons, but you've got to remember, guys, that Soul Barrier actually consumes your fragments, which means that your Soul Cleave is going to be impacted by this, which will impact your self-healing. So it's not necessarily the best choice here. You've got Netherbond. This is a very interesting talent, and I was already thinking if there's going to be some kind of use of this in the Emerald Nightmare. Maybe there is, where you basically bind yourself to a friendly target for 15 seconds, and the health of you and your target is redistributed. Sounds pretty interesting. It's kind of like the tank ring, I guess, right now. Maybe it'll have some application. Who knows, really? We'll see. But by far the strongest default talent, guys, is Last Resort. This is like a strong version of Purgatory that the Blood DK has. Sustaining the Fatal Amount of damage instead transforms you into Metamorphosis form and returns you to 30% health. So you're not only being saved from a killing blow, guys, you're also being turned into Metamorphosis, which is obviously your strong morph, which is obviously an absolute great talent. So this is like a very safe point for demon hunters. So this is what the talent tree looks like, guys. Let's look at the artifact traits. So we start off with the Soul Carver. Now, the first artifact trait that we're going to work our way around towards is going to be Fueled by Pain. Now, this is what I was talking to you about in regards to the Metamorphosis on the talent. So you have a chance to activate Metamorphosis for 5 seconds each time you consume a Soul Fragment. So this is basically meaning, guys, you're going to turn into Metamorphosis without actually using the Metamorphosis spell, which, if we go back to the talent tree, is extremely strong, obviously, with Soul Rending, because you're going to gain 50% leech while Metamorphosis is active. So basically, when this procs and you take that talent, you're going to have 50% leech, which is going to give you a lot of healing. So we're going to work our way down towards that talent first. Taking these. This is an interesting talent as well, by the way, guys, I should mention. Empower Words increase your agility by up to 15% for 10 seconds based on magic damage you take while it's active. Basically, Empower Words, guys, is how you reduce magic damage as a demon hunter. So basically, if you take magic damage, you get agility in return, which is obviously a way of increasing your DPS. Fiery Demise is increasing the fire damage you deal to the target by 30%. Great. Fueled by Pain. Okay, so we've got the first gold talent, guys. Where do we want to go next? We want to go to the Charred Warblades. So if you work our way towards that, now we could go past this Demonic Flames, but we're not going to do it because Demonic Flames is actually a super good talent. Increases the duration of Fiery Brand by 2 seconds. Now let me just pull up the stats on Fiery Brand to remind myself, guys, to make sure I'm giving you guys the accurate information. Fiery Brand reduces damage that the enemy does to you by 40%, and you have to remember, so an extra 2 seconds of 40% damage reduction on Fiery Brand is extremely strong. You also have to remember that with the talent we talked about on Burning Alive, Fiery Brand is also dealing damage every 2 seconds, so you're going to get an extra tick on that, which may also translates into extra healing because of the gold talent that we're working towards right now, which you heal yourself for 15% of all fire damage you deal. So we're definitely going to spend a point on that. We're going to invest a point into that, guys. Then we're going to increase the damage dealt by Immolation Aura, and we're going to unlock the Charred Warblades. So now that we've done that, the next place we want to go is we want to go to Infernal Force. We want to increase the damage dealt by Infernal Strike by 15%. It's not necessarily a great talent, guys, but it's something we need to do, obviously, to continue the progress, which lets us unlock Devourer's Souls. This is going to increase the self-healing, which then also lets us unlock the... Wait, sorry, let me take that back, guys. Okay, we're not going to go to Devourer's Souls yet because we're at 20 artifact points. So this is going to be just roughly when we enter the Emerald Nightmare. The next point we're then going to spend is Defensive Spikes. Now you'll notice that this takes us to 21, which means we're actually at a decision. The decision, therefore, is actually, do you want to take Defensive Spikes or do you want to take Demonic Flames to get that? Because like I said, when the Emerald Nightmare releases, the estimates are, guys, theory crafting wise, that you're going to have about 20 artifact traits within the first 2 weeks. So this is bringing us up to 21 right now, but I think without a doubt Demonic Flames is a stronger choice than Defensive Spikes, because Defensive Strikes here increases your chance to parry by an additional 10% for the first 3 seconds after activating Demon Spikes. Now what's interesting is that Demon Spikes itself is already a strong cooldown, so although this parry chance is nice, it's not really as strong, I guess you could say, or as game-changing as the Demonic Flames talent actually is. So we'll grab it at point number 21, and then we're going to spend the 3 points in Devourer's Souls, which brings us up to 24, and then we're going to start working our way down towards the final golden talent, which basically each soul fragment you consume reduces all damage you take by 3% for 4 seconds. Like I said, guys, this artifact talent choice was done based on rating, which, yeah, there is some differences maybe if you're doing dungeons, but that's another discussion, really, guys. So we are left with two talents we haven't picked yet. We've got increased maximum health by 1%, or we've got increased damage dealt by shear by 3%. We're going to take the increased damage dealt by shear first. and then finally finishing off with the increase maximum health by 1%. And that, guys, is completing the artifact talents of the Demon Hunter. Now, in terms of stat priority, let me clear that. Now, Haste, as always, guys, as with every tank we've covered, Haste is your #1 stat priority. It is literally, Haste is, as well as giving you more damage, it's also giving you more survivability. It's reducing the cooldown on your abilities. It's great. Get Haste. At number 2, we have Versatility. Versatility is the second choice, and the reason why we've chosen Versatility here at number 2, guys, over, for example, Mastery, is because Versatility is reducing your damage from all damage sources, okay? And it's all the time. It's not only when you have a cooldown up like Demon Spikes. We're putting Mastery down at number 3, guys, because Mastery increases the damage reduction of Demon Spikes. But you've got to remember, guys, that when you have Demon Spikes up, Demon Spikes is already strong. And you have to remember as well that Demon Spikes is only physical damage, which is why I've placed, for these 2 reasons, I've placed Versatility above Mastery. Because you've got to remember that Demon Hunter itself doesn't always necessarily have a cooldown up. That's one of the issues with Demon Hunter tanks in general in raiding, is that they're quite spiky in raids. They're only able to tank bosses effectively during active mitigation like Demon Spikes or cooldowns. So if there is an extended period of tanking or extended period of taking damage, that is definitely one of the weaker points of the class right now. It's not like Guardian Druid, for example, when you can obviously just keep Iron 4 up 24/7. So yeah, after Mastery, guys, we have the crit. Now, crit on Demon Hunter increases parry chance, and crit, you could also say, is pretty good for Demon Hunter because it means that you're getting more healing through higher fire damage. So obviously if you crit your fire damage kind of abilities, you're going to get higher fire damage healing, and this is relating to the talent, you know, the 15% healing of fire damage you take through the gold talent on your artifact trait. But actually it's also going to increase your healing when, for example, you are in Metamorphosis form, yeah? So Metamorphosis, I mean, yes, it's probably not a huge increase because you don't really need it. I guess when you're Metamorphosis, you're pretty much safe anyway. But obviously, when you're in Metamorphosis, I probably spelled it wrong there, guys. But when you're in Metamorphosis, you're gonna have 50% leech. So obviously, when you crit with 50% leech, you're talking about some big heals. So yeah, that's my stat priority for Demon Hunters, Demon Hunter tanks. I hope you've enjoyed this video, guys. As always, leave any feedback you have in the comments, and I look forward to seeing you guys on the stream or in the next video. Thanks for watching, team.